Welcome to JGTCR, I'm Cope, and today we are tuning the Dodge Super Bee 70. Let's get into it. Considering its age, the Super Bee is an incredibly well-rounded vehicle. It is well behaved and has some highly desirable traits in factory trim. The handling is extremely responsive at all times. I cannot recall this Dodge misbehaving at all, even when pushing. The suspension is rather soft, so it can come across as a bit lazy, but it does steer well and accurately. The power available is good for an oldie, but it is far from breakneck. It is classic old school, grumpy and lumpy. The power delivery can be harsh, but it is more than manageable with even the mildest of throttle modulation. Wheel spin is a factor when being heavy-handed. It is best to stay in 4th gear most of the time, with dips down to 3rd in the lower speed corners. The brakes work very well, and while a bit spongy, do a great job of pulling up the Super Bee. Let's collect our time. 8 minutes 34.1 seconds. On to the race tune. The tune for the Super Bee came together quite easily. There were no major issues to deal with, just some mild understeer and oversteer. Nothing a bit of ballast and a few tweaks to the suspension couldn't fix. Let's head back out to the Nürburgring. For an old-timer, the Super Bee is a dream to drive and tune. Very simple but effective. The handling is great. It moves well and goes where we tell it to without hesitation. The steering is crisp, stable and very responsive to our inputs. The power is up there, but the chassis handles it well. It comes on steady and strong for the most part without any hiccups. The power delivery is fairly good, but it does have an erratic side when we eventually lose traction. When wheel spin does occur, it is quite detrimental to our momentum, so we lose a lot of time. The revs smash up to redline in an instant if we are not prepared for it and back off the juice. Slides and drifting are not pleasant, but there is a degree of controllability if we dare to stay stuck into it. The brakes are extremely stable and do not offer us any issues to contend with. Let's collect our time. 6 minutes 35.2 seconds. Moving on to the drift tune. The tail end was a bit too loose for the Super Bee when drift tuning. We had to drastically reduce the differential and increase the ballast over the rear wheels at a position of 50. Our suspension also reflects our attempts at taming the rear end by raising the front much higher than the rear. This shifts the natural chassis weight over the rear wheels as a last-ditch attempt to try and maintain control. Let's drift Suzuka. The Super Bee ends up being a boat drifter with a more pointy front end. It drifts well in the lower gears, but 4th and 5th can present wheel speed issues in the higher RPM. The handling is rather precise considering the boaty nature of the vehicle. The steering is sharp enough to throw fairly hard into turns and still be able to catch it as we wipe off speed. The power we have available to us is definitely old school grumpy lumpy styles, but it gives us exactly what we need to drift well. The power delivery is brilliant up until 3rd gear. there is plenty of play and controllable drift in this area. When we venture into 4th and 5th gear, we must not go too much higher than 4000 RPM, or we will have to diligently manage our wheel speed, and even then, it can still be a problem and wipe us out. The Super B is a reliable old school drifter and well worth the effort of tuning. And that's all we have for you today, so until next time, keep racing!